Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper regret after Dumpee reaches out. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing dumper regret after Dumpee reaches out. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you need your ex to regret their decision. Is it possible for your dumper to regret their decision if you, the dumpee, reaches out to them? In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 points to consider when answering this question. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is showcasing improvements. So when we ask the question, can a dumper feel regret if a dumpee reaches out to them, we have to really understand the dynamic and the situation that we are faced with. I would say that in the vast majority of instances, a dumpee should never contact their ex again unless their ex reaches out first. So when we think about that situation, I'm saying that as a dumpee, most of the time, you should never contact your ex again unless they reach out to you first. So in what instance should a dumpee reach out to their ex? If it's most of the time that they shouldn't, in what instances should a dumpee reach out to their dumper first? Well, I would say the main caveat to that rule that I've just put to you is if there is necessary contact needed. If there is a situation where it's absolutely necessary that the dumpee reaches out. So if you have been dumped and you want to try to get your ex back and you need to reach out to your dumper, I believe that you should do just this. And I always like to give the example of, let's just say, for instance, you have left your work laptop at your now ex's house. So your ex, the dumper, has in possession your work laptop. You need that for work. You need that laptop to do your job. It is absolutely understandable that you reach out to your dumper and say, hey, I need to collect my laptop. When is a good time for me to do so? Now, when we consider this situation, you have an opportunity to create regret in your dumper's mind via showcasing improvements. So we're going to be using this example, the whole work laptop scenario, right now. Now, of course, this probably won't necessarily fit in with your situation. This is why I say to people, you may want to consider my audio coaching service, because this is where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique, specific circumstances. If you would like me to be your coach and your teammate through your specific journey, then please go to my website, www.dateme.tips, for more details on my audio coaching service. But right now we're going to use this example. Your work laptop has been left at your ex the dumper's house. You know it's necessary for you to get this laptop back. So you reach out to them and you say, look, I need to get my work laptop. When would it be appropriate for me to come round and collect my laptop? And your ex the dumper, I would say, is very, very likely to respond and let you know when would be a good day and time. Now, in this instance, they of course are going to need to be in their house to let you in to collect the work laptop. What this means is there is going to be an interaction between you, which ordinarily probably wouldn't have taken place, certainly not this soon after your breakup. So this is where you can showcase improvements. Now, again, depending on your circumstances, the improvements that you need to showcase will differ. But let's just give an example that you were not living the healthiest life. Perhaps you were not a healthy weight. Perhaps you didn't really look your best a lot of the time. Let's just say that one of the reasons that you're now ex-dumper lost romantic emotional attraction is because they lost physical attraction towards you. This might not fit in with your situation, but it might be bang on. And if it is, then this hopefully will help you. And if it isn't, hopefully it can still give you an idea and a concept of a type of thing that you could be doing. And again, my audio coaching is there if you need it. So you need to go to your ex's house, you need to collect your work laptop, and you know that you were dumped because your ex-dumper stopped feeling physically attracted towards you. So this is an opportunity for you to showcase improvement. Now, you need to be sensible. Don't dress like you're going to a party when you are just popping around to your ex's to collect your work laptop. But what you can do is look the best you can for the circumstances. You can still look good, okay? You're not going to be wearing your party clothes, but you can be looking very, very nice still. Now, I would always say as well, focus on your smell as much as your physical appearance. Whether that is aftershave, whether that is cologne, whether that is perfume, whatever it may be, make sure you smell your best. If you know your ex likes a specific fragrance, maybe you go for that. Maybe you think that's too obvious. That is your call. But make sure that you do smell nice. Perhaps you try something new. Perhaps you don't normally wear anything at all, and you realize that just wearing something will make a difference. Okay, so make sure you smell your best, make sure you look your best within the confines and the realms of what would be understandable for such a visit. You can still look good, you can look great, smart, casual. Okay, so you can make sure you look your part. Now, depending on how long it's been, let's just say, for instance, you haven't seen your ex now in 3 to 4 weeks. If that's the case, you could have made significant improvements to your physical appearance in that time. I gave an example earlier that perhaps you were not a healthy weight due to an unhealthy lifestyle. In those 3 or 4 weeks, you could be a much healthier weight. You can make a difference in a month or so, absolutely. In particular, if you are doing regular exercise, if you are living your life in the right way, you can look healthier and more physically attractive in 3 to 4 weeks. So it's not just about the clothes you're wearing, but it's also about the lifestyle you are living. This is an opportunity for you to showcase improvements. And this is all stemming from you as a dumpee reaching out to your ex, the dumper. So when we're talking about dumper regret after dumpee reaches out, in this instance, you have reached out via necessary contact. It has created a scenario where you've had to see each other, and you've showcased, without saying anything, just being yourself after living your life the right way and knowing what style to go for. You have wowed your ex. You've gone to pick up your work laptop, and when you've left, they're now looking at you in a completely different light. They're thinking, wow, when I ended this relationship, my ex did not look like that. This is a change. Have I jumped the gun? Should I have ended that relationship? There is an example of where dumper regret can come from a dumpee reaching out. Something very, very important to think about. Your situation is likely to be somewhat different, but you have an opportunity via necessary contact to eventually create a scenario where you likely see each other and you can showcase an improvement. It might not be a physical attraction sense. It could be something to do with skill set. It could be something to do with your mannerisms, your behaviors. You can showcase positive change during a meeting, which ultimately was instigated via necessary contact. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about dumper regret after dumpee reaches out. And point number 2 is we are all human. So as I've said throughout today's podcast, it's not ideal as a dumpee to reach out to your ex. It's not ideal to reach out after you've been dumped. But we are all human, and most people will do this. So as long as it's not too many times, as long as it's not too negative, as long as it's not too much of an obsession, there is every chance that you will still be able to get through this. There is every chance that ultimately your chances of reconnecting have not been too badly damaged by this behavior. It's very, very hard, almost impossible, to find somebody to go through what I would call a perfect breakup. Breakups are emotional. That's the point, that's the situation. Even if you know the best way to behave, you need to try to behave that way when you're going through a range of emotions similar to grief combined with drug withdrawal. It's very, very hard. We are all human. It's very unlikely that you're going to have a perfect breakup. Most dumpees reach out to their dumper. Do I advise it? No. Does it give you a better chance of success? Not really. Very, very unlikely is that to help your cause. However, nearly everybody does it. And as long as it's not too often, as long as it's not too negative, as long as it's not too damaging in the way you are behaving, you are likely to be able to overcome these errors of judgment. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, I can't get my ex back, I reached out to them. After a week, I reached out to them 2 or 3 times over the course of the first couple of months. Does this mean you can never get your ex back? No, it doesn't mean that at all. You know, we can't say for certain what the future holds, but what I can say is that behaving in the way I've just suggested is unlikely to have caused an effect where you have absolutely zero chance of getting your ex back. Is it ideal? No. Is it best practice? No. But it's likely. You're human. Very few dumpees, if any dumpees, haven't reached out to their ex. It doesn't mean that that's going to help their cause, but it also doesn't mean they can't still find success. So remember, we're all human. Remember that I make mistakes. You can make mistakes. Your ex has made mistakes. Everybody we know has made mistakes. We can still achieve our goals. We can still find happiness. Even if you don't get your ex back, if you live your life the right way, you can find happiness and find somebody even better. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter if you get your ex back as much as it feels like it does right now, because you can find somebody even better. You can find your happiness without them. They do not define you. But even if you think, look, no, I want my ex back, but how can I? Because I broke no contact. This means it's definitely not going to happen. No, that is not the case. It's unlikely to affect your long-term chances of reconnecting as long as it's not been too often and too negative. Does it slow down the procedure? Yeah, it probably will do. Okay? But I know so many people who have got their ex back who broke no contact. It's not something that we want to be promoting because it is not the best way forward. It's likely to slow things down, and sadly and unfortunately, some people won't get their ex back. But just remember, most dumpees, so many dumpees, 99% of dumpees are likely to have broken no contact at least once, and they still stand every opportunity of one day reconnecting. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about dumper regret after dumpee reaches out. And point number 3 is nothing works 100% of the time. So in point number 1, we was talking about showcasing improvements after necessary contact is an example as when a dumpee reaches out and ultimately they can create regret in the dumper. In point number 2, we was talking about we're all human. We're all human. We can all make mistakes, and most dumpees will break no contact, and yet dumpers can still feel regret in the future in some of those instances if everything goes well from a certain point. You know, if a dumpee consistently breaks no contact, that is not necessarily likely to help their cause, but if it happens a few times, I've known dumpers still get to the stage where they feel regret. So dumper regret can be felt when a dumpee reaches out because we're all human. Now, point number 3, this is really just wrapping all of this up. And this is that nothing works 100% of the time. And more importantly, nothing fails 100% of the time. And you will see instances where people behave in an opposite way to what I suggest and they still find success. Now, why is this? It's because nothing works 100% of the time. Nothing will fail 100% of the time. Nothing will get success 100% of the time. Nothing in life is guaranteed. Therefore, you will always find these abnormalities. You know, I might say this gives you the best chance of success, but it doesn't mean that there's not going to be that 1, 2, 3 in 100 who find success doing the opposite. I promote my theories based on research. I suggest my concepts because I believe they will give you that best chance of success. I want to give you the best chance, not the least chance. But it doesn't mean some people won't get success going the other way. You need to do what you feel is right for you. You are the captain of your ship. This is your life. It's not mine. It's not your friends. It's not your family's. It is yours. You've got to be happy and comfortable with your decisions. I will give you support. I will give you advice. I will give you encouragement. I will give you motivation. I will give you the likely outcomes based on many years of research, but it doesn't mean that it's going to transpire that way. I mean, look at sport. Okay, you can look at all of the statistics you want on any sport, but you can't definitively predict the winner. Why is that? Because there is always a chance of something going the other way. As unlikely as it may seem, sometimes it can happen. And therefore, when we talk about can a dumper feel regret if a dumpee reaches out? Yes, sometimes a dumpee will reach out in a way that I would not suggest, and it might just hit home at the perfect opportunity for a dumper to feel regret. Is this likely? No. I would always say your best opportunity is for your ex, the dumper, to feel the feeling of missing you via you implementing my version of a no contact rule, you growing as a person, and using all of the other hints, tips, and advice that I give in my podcasts and my audio coaching. But you will get that 1, 2, 3% of people who just have that lucky hit and hope approach where they send out a text and it just hits home. It just magically almost hits that special spot where the dumper is feeling remorseful and regretful at that moment they receive the text, and the message just seems to take things further in a way where the regret deepens and the dumper wants to reconcile. So I would say that it's always important to remember that there is no paint by numbers advice. Nothing will always work. Nothing will always fail. You've got to do what you feel comfortable with, but I will promote the theories and the ideas that I believe will give you that best chance, because I want you to have a better opportunity rather than a lesser opportunity. We're all human. We make mistakes. We can still find success. And if you do have a necessary reason to reach out to your ex-dumper, then use it. You need to do it, and it can also help you reconnect. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.